Burger King Athletic, Dynamo B&Q, and AFC Sudacrem. Those are 3 company football clubs that I just completely made up, because apparently that is the sort of weird thing that I do, but the subject of today's video is company football clubs that exist, not just in my head, but actually in the real world. My apologies to anyone who was hoping for 7 that I had just imagined. Company football clubs used to be extremely common throughout much of the world, typically referred to as works teams, and founded by companies with large workforces within the local area for their staff to represent. The P in PSV Eindhoven, for example, stands for Philips, since the Dutch giants were founded by the multinational electronics conglomerate, who are headquartered in Eindhoven. Meanwhile, Spain's oldest football club, Recreativo de Huelva, were founded by the Rio Tinto company. Arsenal was founded by workers at the nearby Royal Arsenal Armaments Factory, and even Manchester United, who were originally named Newton Heath, was founded by the workers at the Lancashire and Yorkshire Railway Depot in Newton Heath. None of those teams are still owned by the companies or workers who founded them as works teams though, as is the case with the vast majority of successful former company clubs. But in this video, I wanted to take a look at 7 fascinating football clubs that were not only founded as company clubs, but are still owned by those same companies, and always have been. So without further ado, here are 7 company-founded and indeed still company-owned football clubs. 7th, Sheriff Tiraspol. An ideal starting point, Sheriff Tiraspol, whose official name is actually Football Club Sheriff, are among the most interesting and most prominent company clubs in European football right now. Only founded in 1997, FC Sheriff is owned, you guessed it, by a company called Sheriff. For those of you who don't know, Tiraspol, where both Sheriff the company and Sheriff the football club are based, is the capital of the breakaway state of Transnistria, which most of the international community considers to be part of Moldova under Russian military occupation. Sheriff have monopolised virtually every industry which is worth anything in Transnistria, accounting for roughly 60% of the region's total economic activity. They own all of the petrol stations, all of the supermarkets, and all of the newspapers, TV, and radio stations, along with car dealerships, factories, and of course, the region's flagship football club. One could even make the case, and indeed many people have, that Sheriff owns the entire parliament, political structure, and government of Transnistria. Sheriff was founded by former members of the Soviet Secret Service, Viktor Gushan and Ilya Kazhmali, and has been wholly owned by Gushan since 2012, who is considered to be one of the wealthiest individuals from any post-Soviet state other than Russia, with an estimated net worth of $2 billion. Gushan, who was allegedly nicknamed Sheriff during his time in the KGB, hence the company's and subsequently the football club's name, has close ties to the Obnovleny Party, which is the only political party represented in Transnistria's unrecognised Supreme Council. Former President Yevgeny Shevchuk, who was critical of Sheriff's monopoly control in the region, fled Transnistria in 2017, accusing Gushan of planning to have him assassinated, leading some people to describe Gushan as not just any old oligarch, but also the shadow leader of Transnistria. As for Sheriff the football club, well, like everything else that Sheriff owns, they're pretty much the only show in town. Since winning their first Moldovan Superliga title in the 2000 to 2001 season, in the league of a country that they don't consider themselves to be a part of, Sheriff have won a record-breaking 20 top-flight league titles, missing out on only 2 occasions, and absolutely obliterating any hint of competition in Moldovan football. The Sheriff squad is, and has consistently been, one of the most cosmopolitan in all of world football, representing about as many different nations as your average Summer Olympics. I will stop now because this is quite a long segment, but if I have whet your appetite, I have made an entire video about Sheriff and Transnistria that you are free to check out if you fancy it. 6th, El Mokawloon. If you're not very familiar with Egyptian football, there is only one reason why you are likely to have heard of Al Mokawloon, and that is because it is the club where Mohamed Salah began his career. Salah joined Al Mokawloon age 14, despite living 3 hours away from the club's training ground in Cairo, which meant that he frequently had to miss school in order to train and play for the club. Set to celebrate their 50th anniversary next season, Al Mokawloon were founded in 1973 by Egyptian engineer, businessman, and politician Osman Ahmed Osman as the company club of his contracting business, Arab Contractors. Osman was nicknamed The Boss and was one of the wealthiest men in Egypt. Meanwhile, Arab Contractors was probably the largest construction company in the entire Middle East at that time. It isn't an enormous surprise, therefore, that the club enjoyed instant success, crowned as Egyptian Premier League champions in 1983, albeit they haven't won a top-flight league title since then. Founded under the name Arab Contractors, the club has since been renamed Al Mokawloon Al Arab SC, with the company itself commonly referred to as Al Mokawloon Al Arab since Osman's death in 1999. Al Mokawloon have competed in the top flight of Egyptian football every season since 2005, finishing 10th last season in an incredibly congested Egyptian Premier League table. And in addition to Mohamed Salah, they have also nurtured fellow Egyptian internationals like Abdel Sattar Sabri and Mohamed El Neni. 5th, Honda FC. Japan is a real hotbed of company-founded and still company-owned football clubs, along with South Korea. And there are no prizes for guessing which company owns Honda FC. That's right, it's Suzuki. Not really, that was. Just another one of my hilarious pranks. Founded in 1971 as Honda Motor FC by the Honda Motor Company, but since shortened to just Honda FC, apparently the automobile manufacturer didn't even deem it necessary to include the city in which the club is located in their name. That city is Hamamatsu, where Honda was founded and still has a plant, though Honda is now headquartered in the ward of Minato in Japan's capital city Tokyo. Between 1981 to 1992, Honda FC competed in the top flight of Japanese football, which was then known as the JSL, but when the J-League was founded in 1992, the company turned down a proposed move to Urawa, now Saitama, and the option to turn professional, fearing that the football club could start to take away too much of their time and resources from their primary business. As such, most of Honda's best players left the club at that time, and they were relegated to the second division. Despite winning the JFL Division 2 League title the following season, new regulation preventing corporate-backed clubs from competing in the J-League meant that they were denied promotion. Those regulations still exist, which means that the Japan Football League, which is the fourth tier of Japanese football, is the highest level that Honda FC can compete at. Because Honda are so good, they won the title 5 times in 6 seasons from 2014 to 2019, for example. They have earned the nickname J's Keepers, literally the gatekeepers of access for other clubs to the J-League, as others struggle to finish above Honda and therefore win promotion. Honda FC are one of several company football clubs based in Japan, with others including Sony Sendai FC, 5th tier Mitsubishi Mizushima FC, and top flight Yokohama F. Marinos. 4th, RB Leipzig. Energy drink manufacturers Red Bull own and operate several football clubs, though most of them weren't actually founded by them. The New York Red Bulls, for instance, were founded in 1994 as the New York, New Jersey Metro Stars and were only acquired by Red Bull and had their name changed in 2006. Meanwhile, Red Bull Salzburg were formerly SV Austria Salzburg, founded in 1933, and actually 3-time Austrian champions before getting a Red Bull rebrand. And even RB Leipzig were only formed as the result of Red Bull acquiring the playing rights of lower league German outfit SSV Markranstädt in 2009. However, despite only acquiring SSV Markranstädt's 5th tier license, unlike with the others, the changes that Red Bull co-founder and CEO Dietrich Mateschitz implemented in Leipzig were so radical that the football club was officially declared as being a new club in 2009, meaning that they were founded and are still owned by a single company, and are therefore eligible to feature in this 7. I'm so glad that we were able to clear that up. RB Leipzig were Red Bull's 5th footballing enterprise, in addition to starting out in the 5th tier of German football, but unlike all of their other football teams, they couldn't actually use the words Red Bull in their name due to DFB regulations prohibiting the incorporation of corporate names into the names of football clubs. Instead, Leipzig adopted the name Rasenballsport Leipzig, literally Lawn Ball Sports Leipzig, which allowed them to adopt the common name RB Leipzig, which a lot of people wrongly assume stands for Red Bull Leipzig. They also nicknamed themselves the Red Bulls, made their badge basically the Red Bull logo, and renamed the Zentralstadion the Red Bull Arena. There is a lot to dislike about RB Leipzig in terms of their soullessness, the franchise model, and how it is the antithesis of all that is great, historically at least, about German football, and that is why they are the most hated club in the country. But if we are to focus on the positives, their academy and particularly their youth recruitment is undeniably impressive. So efficiently run, Leipzig were able to shoot up through the divisions via disproportionate investment compared to their peers, but since reaching the Bundesliga, they've actually been among the best run and most sustainably run football clubs in all of Europe. Bundesliga runners-up in both the 2016-17 and 2020-21 seasons, and Champions League semi-finalists in 2019-20, though their coming into existence may be, let's just say, controversial, Leipzig are undoubtedly now a force to be reckoned with in German football. And if it weren't for the Bayern juggernaut smashing up everything in its path season after season, they may well have realised Mike Schitz's dream of being crowned as German champions by now. Third, Busan Transportation Corporation FC. If it is company football clubs that you're after, then look no further than South Korea. Not only do they have loads of them, but they make absolutely sure that everyone knows the company that owns them. Red Bull calling a club Rasenballsport Leipzig might seem a little bit shameless, but over in South Korea, they make sure to get the full name in there. Just take the case of the Gyeongju Korea Hydro and Nuclear Power Football Club. They really weren't messing about there, were they? The good people at the Gyeongju Korea Hydro and Nuclear Power Plant, which is a subsidiary of the Korea Electric Power Corporation, a majority state-owned and state-controlled electric utility company in South Korea. Gyeongju Korea Hydro and Nuclear Power Football Club were actually founded in 1945, but were dissolved during the Korean War, refounded in 1962. They compete in the K3 League, but since 2017, they have also had a women's team, obviously named Gyeongju Korea Hydro Nuclear Power Women's Football Club, who compete in the top flight of women's football in South Korea. Busan Transportation Corporation FC, meanwhile, who, again, obviously, couldn't have left out the corporation from their club name, they did need the full thing, were founded in 2006, obviously, by the Busan Transportation Corporation. Busan is an enormous city, South Korea's second largest behind Seoul, with a population of more than 3.4 million people. Yet, it doesn't have a single top-flight football club. Busan iPark competes in the K-League 2, meanwhile Busan Transportation Corporation FC competes in the K3 League, alongside none other than Gyeongju Korea Hydro and Nuclear Power Football Club. The Busan Transportation Corporation replaced the Busan Urban Transit Authority in 2006, which is the same year that the football club was founded, and, as their name would suggest, they are in the business of rapid transit, operating, among other things, the Busan Metro, which covers 72 miles of track and serves 114 stations. I bet you didn't expect to learn anything about the Busan Metro today, did you? That is just this channel summed up in a nutshell. You're laughing and you're learning. Alright, you're just learning about the Busan Metro, but it's better than nothing. You could be watching Rory Jennings or listening to TalkSport and having your brain turned into literal sewage sludge. Moving on. Second, Vauxhall Motors. If there's one business that loves a football club, it has to be car companies. There are very few works teams that remain in England, at least at a semi-respectable level, but Vauxhall Motors FC are one of them. Based in Ellesmere Port in Cheshire, Vauxhall Motors were founded almost 60 years ago, in 1963, shortly after the opening of the nearby Vauxhall Motors car plant. Promoted to the 6th tier in 2004, Vauxhall Motors were founding members of the Conference North, where they were one of only 4 teams to remain in the division for the next 10 years. In 2014, the club announced its intention to withdraw from the Conference North, by that stage the National League North, due to what it described as ever-increasing costs, dropping down to the North West Counties League instead. That is where the club remains now, currently in the Premier Division, which is the 9th tier of English football overall. Vauxhall themselves, the company that is, are one of the oldest vehicle manufacturers in the United Kingdom, founded 165 years ago. Originally a luxury car brand, that changed when Vauxhall was acquired by General Motors, and since 1980, their vehicles have been virtually indistinguishable to those of their sister brand and parent company Opel. First, Cruz Azul. In the case of most company football clubs that are still operating, including those featured in this 7, the company themselves are more famous than the football clubs. But in the case of Cruz Azul, certainly internationally at least, I'm not quite so sure that is the case. Cemento Cruz Azul, which was founded by British businessman Henry Gibbon in 1881 and is headquartered in Mexico City, is one of the largest cement companies in Mexico. Cemento Cruz Azul went bankrupt in 1906 as Mexico's central bank took control of the business before it became a cooperative in 1932. It was Carlos Garces Lopez, a company employee who played for Mexico internationally and was part of Club America's founding squad, that pressured Cemento Cruz Azul to found their own football team. At that time, Cemento's official company sport was baseball, meaning that they had a baseball team, but despite opposition from some American employees, Lopez's campaign proved to be a success. The football club was founded in 1927, initially in the state of Hidalgo, before relocating to Mexico City in 1971. Cruz Azul turned professional in 1960, reaching the top flight for the first time in 1964, and winning their first national championship in 1969. It was a rapid rise, and Cruz Azul have since won 8 more Liga MX, or Primera Division titles, becoming the 3rd most popular club in Mexico, and sharing the 87,523 capacity Estadio Azteca with both Club America and the Mexico national team. Not bad for a football club that started out as the offshoot of a cement business. Cemento Cruz Azul, meanwhile, face stiff competition in Mexico these days from Cemex, which is the 5th largest cement company in the entire world. Again, look how much we're all learning. It is incredible, really. You should probably subscribe and then turn on notifications. That is it for today's video. I left out Bayer Leverkusen and Wolfsburg, in case you were wondering, because they featured in that company football club's video that I made a couple of years ago, and I always tried to avoid treading on old ground. Also, again, as with the last time out, apologies if I sound a bit weird. I am dying of a cold. Thank you all very much as ever for watching. Hit the like button if you enjoyed it, let me know your thoughts down below in the comments, and make sure that you are subscribed and have notifications turned on, of course, for HITC Sevens. You can also find me on either Twitter or Instagram via the username @HITC Sevens on both, should you wish to do so. Cheers.